Good day to the MS world. My name is Stuart Schlossman, president and founder of MS Views and News, and we are here today to provide a brand new program. It's called MS Patients Voices. Okay, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be listening to the different patients that we have here. They'll each introduce themselves as we have our moderator at the front of the room who's going to be asking them different questions. And then going forward, after everybody answers a question that Jill has for them, we can then create dialogue, possibly feeding off each program or each topic and just making it build a little bit more so that all of you can understand that you're part of the entire equation. Here's just 5 of us talking, but we probably will talk about a tremendous amount, which could equal a lot of what you're going through. So let's let Jill take it away.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. My name is Jill, as Stuart said, and I was diagnosed in the year 2000. And can you, my first friend, please tell us your name and when you were diagnosed?
Hi, my name is Pam Porres. I was diagnosed in 2010. I was driving home from work and lost my vision. I couldn't walk or anything, so when I got home, they thought I had a stroke.
And can you tell us briefly any successes or accomplishments that you have achieved since your diagnosis?
Well, I try to keep active. I volunteer for 7 different places to keep active. I'm on the nursing alumni board at UCF, and I just try to keep busy all the time. So I, try to not think about the MS and the more I keep busy, the more it keeps my MS kind of at bay.
Great. And my next friend, can you please tell us your name and when you were diagnosed?
My name is Naida Cuevas. I was diagnosed in 2002. I was having like a sinus symptoms, blurry vision, and any doctor can find anything wrong. I have problem with my legs. And I went to visit my eye doctor, and she told me after a few questions, I think you have MS. So I went and find a neurologist, and after maybe 2 years, I finally got a diagnosis of MS.
And can you tell us anything about your successes or achievements since you've been diagnosed?
I am very proud that for almost 12 years, I facilitated a support group in Deltona where I live. It was very empowering and made me feel good that I can help other people and at the same time help myself. Unfortunately, I have problems with my parents. They have dementia, so it kind of slowed me down, and it was consuming too much of my time. I had to stop. But in between all that, I was active as a volunteer with different organizations. I tried to keep active. I have 2 grandkids, so that keep me busy. So it's just fight it. Like everybody or many people says, I have MS, but MS doesn't have me.
Great, thank you. And our next friend.
Hi, I think I already announced who I was. So I am Stuart Schlossman, and I'm president and founder of MS Views and News that I did say already. And I was diagnosed in, my gosh, I don't even remember, 98, I think. All right, and so it's been a while since I've had multiple sclerosis. Of course, when I was diagnosed, it was just not much known of the disease itself. That's another story. We'll get into that another time. Next.
And tell us about your accomplishments, Stuart.
My accomplishments. Well, fortunately, I have a big mouth. And fortunately, I'm from New York, and I know how to use my big mouth. And I made it so that way. First, about 6 months after diagnosis, I was running already. I was asked by the National Multiple Sclerosis Society to chair a walk for them, and I did that for 5 years. And at the same time, I chaired a second walk for them that I did that for 3 years. And then I found that patients needed education. And when I wanted to be able to provide that, we found that we had to create an organization to do that. So that was the organization. I mean, you all know about it, and we can talk about that later on.
Great, thank you. And our next friend.
My name is Yiki Moyer. I was diagnosed in August 2008 after having gone to the doctor with the same symptoms 3 years before, and they told me I was just having a lot of stress, which was not the case. But I basically was having trouble walking sometimes. I noticed that my left leg, what I call a Frankenstein leg, would get very heavy and made it difficult to walk. I had some tingling at times. And so I guess between all that and the MRI, I was typical candidate for an MS diagnosis. I've been doing, I think, fairly well since I was diagnosed. I have noticed throughout the years things have become a little bit more of a struggle, and I don't move as quickly, but I just keep trying to do my best. That's all I can do.
Thank you. And can you tell us about any of your achievements or successes since your diagnosis?
As far as my achievements with MS, I think just the fact that I've been able to stay so mobile and move and continue to exercise, try to eat well. Doesn't always work out the best, my intentions. But I think I'm doing fine, and I've been trying to be a support person for whenever I hear of someone who's newly diagnosed.
Great, thank you. And our last friend over here, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Jimmy Betts. I was diagnosed in 1999 with relapse-remitting MS. My story was I was a law enforcement officer working at a middle school, and one day that left leg gave out and kind of tumbled to the ground, trying to figure out what was going on. And immediately went home, went to the doctor, the MRI, the spinal tap. Then I demanded a second opinion, and I got one that says you have MS. So then I had to get busy attending support groups like Naida headed up, and a lot of lunch and learn things. It helped me out a great deal.
And have you had any successes or accomplishments that you care to share about?
Well, one accomplishment, my wife and I, we just adopted 2 siblings. We were medical foster parents for like 14 years. And we have a 6 and 11-year-old kids now, and they're getting a lot of life, keeping us busy.
I bet they do.
I would like to ask Jimmy a question about that. How are you managing? How are you managing by taking care of 2 children at the age that you are, and having MS, and having setbacks? I mean, what do you do? How do you moderate your day?
Well, I also am a minister, and I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and study my word and pray. That's been a great help. And I get up because one of my kids, he's special needs, has cerebral palsy, my 11-year-old. So with staying active, I converted one of my rooms into a gym, treadmill and all that other good stuff. And we're just trying to stay active. Like I said, trying to eat right and do the right things. That's what keeps you really motivated, the kids.
Great. Thank you. Let's start with Jimmy. Over the years, how have you managed your family, your professional life, and functionally, how do you take care of yourself?
In 2000, I had to take a medical retirement from the police department. And after that, my wife, we just stay busy working with the kids, and, main focus on other people, working with the kids, and handle our situations. Get up early in the morning when the heat is not hot, and go outside and do any activities. And then get in the house after that, get the AC. And that's where we just keep moving from there.
Yiki, how have you managed your professional life, your social life, your family life, and your functional needs?
Okay, so in 2015, I found out that I have a small brain aneurysm, and my neurologist suggested I stop working. I couldn't stop working right then, but at the end of 2017, I finally did stop working. My doctor really felt that if I was feeling well, that I should kind of go out while I can still enjoy life and do things. So I took their advice, or his advice, and that's what I do. My social life is kind of the same as everybody else's right now. There's not much to it, just because of COVID. But typically, I try to stay engaged with friends and my family. I have a great family, which really helps, and that's about it.
And functionally, do you need any help?
I do. I have a tough time with fine motor skills, and I'm very vain. I like to wear jewelry, There's certain things that my kids help me with, even though my kids are older. My daughter is living with me right now with her daughter. So she helps me to put on my earrings sometimes. Sometimes I need help with buttons. As I said to Pam earlier, I have become the master of disguise. If there's something with a shirt with buttons, I never unbutton it. I wash and wear just like that. You just kind of adjust to make do with what you need. So, I do have my struggles, but
Thanks
you
for
kind of
sharing.
work around them.
Naida, would you like to share anything?
Yeah, like I said before, it helped me a lot when I created the group because, like I said, it helped me to understand and learn as I was able to help others. I was blessed and I am blessed with a great family. My husband helps me when I have my problems with my legs. When I fall, like many others, I just, stand up and keep going. I'm sure to get the equipment I needed for my right side because I have problem with my right side. I have my part. I found great help using the stick walk or walk sticks. You know that
Yes.
they're like when you skiing.
My ski poles, yes.
Yes, those are great because I have problem with my balance. So I try to keep active. Um, my social life, it was kind of, the same as slow down because you don't have the same speed and you have some problems. I have problem with my hands. But with this pandemic, it's been kind of funny for me because I start getting busy making masks. I made one for my daughter. She's a nurse. Oh my gosh, she put it in the website in her Facebook, and I think I made like 400 masks. So that keeps me busy and doing stuff. Um, Unfortunately, this year, as for many people, it's been a nightmare for me. I lost my father to COVID 2 months ago. So I have my mother with me. She has dementia, like I mentioned before. So it's been a struggle. But again, I have a blessed family. They help me. We have a caregiver came with her, and I keep busy. I'm still volunteer. Like Nikki, if somebody needs me, a new MS patient, I still get refer people. Even in Puerto Rico, where I'm from, the doctor send people to me when they move here. So it's a matter of keeping busy. You adjust, like she said, to make changes. I'm very hyper by nature. And like Stuart, I like to talk. So
Okay, on that subject, we're going to stop you.
yeah. So
I just want to ask everybody, and Pam, I didn't forget about you. I will get to you. Has anybody found that their friends sort of disappeared when they got diagnosed? Pam's shaking her head.
Yes. Yes. I have no family left. So, a lot of people say, oh, if you need anything, call me. I have a thing where I can't call somebody. I'd rather them call me to say, do you need anything? Because I don't like being rejected by somebody saying, oh, I'll be there, and they don't. So, in fact, recently I was off Facebook for a couple months because of it. And everybody's like, oh, where have you been? I was like, just pick up the phone. But as far as, like I said, I have no family. I take care of myself, unfortunately. Sometimes, you need somebody. I have a couple friends that I know I can rely on for anything. And then as far as professional life, I was a nurse for too many years, and I can't do that anymore. So now I volunteer a lot of different places, and that keeps me busy. I keep up my CEUs and everything else.
Great. Okay, Stuart, would you like to add anything?
I would like to ask Naida what she's been doing with her group to get them to do more.
well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to keep going with the group because maintaining a support group, it takes time. You have to organize the speakers and the drug companies. So it was a little hard for many people to keep up with the group. So it stopped. So we are kind of a little disconnected, but we talk on Facebook, or somebody needs something, they call me. And if I have a chance, if I know of a conference, I try to share the information. Is how I try to to keep it kind of moving. They keep asking me when I'm going to meet again. I mean, it's not as easy as before. We have to find the place. I was blessed that the library let me meet there for free. But it's a little bit more hard work for me right now with the situation.
So I have a question for you. So you're under that kind of situation, but have you maybe spoken with somebody else in your group that can carry it on for you and get people to speak with each other?
I have, but like I said, I asked somebody by the time that if somebody was willing to keep up with the group, but I guess I'm guessing that they realized how hard and how much work it was into keeping up the group, and nobody kind of, step up to do it. But like I said, we just keep in touch. Some of the people call each other, or if somebody want to get in contact with somebody, they will call me and stuff like that. But we are kind of, doing our own stuff at this time.
I help with a support group with a nurse practitioner here in town, and we were doing it the fourth Wednesday of every month. But since COVID, we can't do that anymore. We were going to do everything virtual, and a lot of people didn't want to do that right now. But what I do is take the group, and when there's meetings like these things, I send it out to everybody. So at least we're keeping in touch with what's going on in the community and keeping abreast on the new things because of Stu's meetings.
That's great. That's great. Thank
So
you.
I have a question for everybody. I can't look at you, all right? But can you each tell me why you have a problem with virtual programs?
Okay, as for me, I just find it so impersonal. And I know Stuart earlier had made reference to his Zoom calling, and he said, no, they're not Zoom videos. But I just prefer to be live in person with people. That's for me.
Do you find that there's enough live in person out there? Are you concerned
right
about
now-
being with people?
Right now, there's very little live and in person.
So you would not opt to do something virtually?
I prefer not to. I have done it before for different meetings of organizations I'm part of, but I don't really like to do that, which I realize it is like the next best thing to being there, but just, I don't know.
How about you, Jimmy?
I don't have any problem doing with the virtual because I do a lot with the kids at homeschooling. If it wasn't for COVID, I would love to be live, but since the COVID, definitely.
So I have a question for you. You said you're a minister.
Yes.
How are you preaching these days?
Everything is virtual.
Okay, everything's
Everything's
virtual.
virtual.
But the state did open up and allow for churches to get together again, limitedly, right?
Yes.
So even with that, you're not allowed to have anybody there?
With my pastor, he does some in-house, but since I have kids, I keep them home and we do it
Okay.
on a website.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I have another question for you all. If you had the opportunity, if some organization decided that they want to do an event locally to you, and it was very socially distanced, and we had a limited amount of people there to create that social distancing, how do you think that you feel and those around you might feel about it? Those that are in your groups, those others that you know, do you think that they would want to get out and see each other again, even from a distance?
Well, right now, like when I was saying to the nurse practitioner, we were looking to see if we could find a place where we could space out because where we have the meetings now, it's too close to space out. But I think everybody's in that mood right now that the human touch, not touching people, but to see face to face is something that everybody needs right now. That's why I do a lot of Zoom meetings everywhere because it's like you're actually looking at them face to face. It's different than virtual, but the Zooms are more. But I think if we can find a place where they could spread out more, I think it'd work out great.
So you think people would be amenable to attending
Yes, I do.
a program?
I do, as long as they know to keep safe, like wearing their mask and everything. Just because there's a program, they still need to wear the mask and still do the distance.
I think in my case, I would like to, like I said before, I like to talk and I like face to face. It's just the way I am. And I think maybe an open space, a park, now that it's getting cooler, that we can spread a little bit, maybe people will feel more comfortable, to do. But my group, at least the people who participate in my group, they were very social. They love to get together and share and learn. So maybe a different venue, maybe a park that is open. with some distance and a tent. But it's getting cold. I mean, it's getting better. So maybe they will be. I'll do it.
And
I know
then-
you're moderating, but sorry.
It's okay. Yiki, do you have any feelings about that? Would you attend something?
Actually, yes, I would. And I am so happy to be here with everyone. Like, I'm just meeting Jimmy today, and I think it's wonderful. But their faces, yours included, that I haven't seen in a while. And it's so nice for me to be able to participate and see everyone. So I'm loving this right now. So, and I do it with a group. I recently joined Rotary, and some people opt to stay home and do it through the Zoom meeting, and some people go to the actual facility. And I'm going so I can be on site with everybody, and I love it. Even though we can only sit 4 people in a table that's a table for 8, we still manage to do it. Everyone is polite and courteous and wears their mask. So there are ways to get around having to be social distance. And I think the idea of doing it outside, especially with the weather getting cooler, is a great idea.
Jimmy, what do you think?
I agree. Being the social distance outside, it's been great because our church, we just did a movie in the big screen, and we did a social distance, and we were in a parking lot in the big field, and it was great. So I think that's really good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wait, I got something to say about all that, all right?
Okay.
So MS Views
2
and
minutes.
News was able to pull this off similar to what they are talking about. We were in Columbus, Ohio just a few weeks ago, and we set it up perfectly. We had 5,000 square feet of space. We put a maximum of 35 people in the room, which 5,000 square feet of space is more than this space that we're in right now, all right? And there was only 35 people there. And the tables were very spread out. They were 20 to 30 feet apart, and we only had 4 people per table sitting north, south, east, and west, so that way there was great social distancing. And everybody had to have their mask on except if they were eating. There were some people that were actually taking bites of their food by pulling off their mask, sticking the food in, putting the mask back on and chewing and finishing like that, all right, just because they wanted to stay like that. And that was great. Would they do it again? Absolutely. They felt totally confident about the way it was, and this is something that going forward, this is something that MS Views and News would like to do. And it's not just for in-house, but we also do it as virtual. So we have Bill there, and we do it as what's called a hybrid event, as you're doing both in-house and virtually for others to see as well. And you wind up with a great audience from that.
Great. Thanks. Yiki, let's start with you. How do you control your MS symptoms? Do you take meds? Do you use complementary therapies? Have you tried biofeedback? What do you do?
So in my case, I take a lot of hot showers at night. I get pain on my right side, which my left side is my side that's really affected by MS. But I probably take 2 to 4 showers a night, which disrupts my sleep. But I can avoid taking meds that I prefer not to have to take. I have nice and clean, yeah.
She didn't say she uses soap. She just said hot water.
No, and I do use soap every time, even though I know I just took a shower maybe like 45 minutes before. But it really helps me a lot with the pain, so that's great. I also take Tylenol PM sometimes just to help me, because if not, I'm dragging so much the next day. So that's not good. And then when I am so tired, then my hand tends to shake. So it's a little bit of a vicious cycle. So I can tell when I'm just tired. Even if I don't feel it, my hand just starts to shake.
Have you tried any complementary? Yoga or...
Acupuncture is great.
Keep going.
Acupuncture is amazing for that, because unfortunately, the specialist left. She moved to Georgia. But I found that acupuncture for my legs, for my hands, for my back, for my shoulder. She knows when I'm tense or something is inflamed. So she just, those little needles, She find the spot, and believe me, I don't want to move from that bed when she finish. So complementary is very useful for me. Chiropractors is good also to adjust and get system. I use vitamins and complementary herbs and stuff like that help me too. And of course, we have to try to keep active. I have a dear friend that I love a lot, and she does exercises in her wheelchair. So it's something that, little by little, we are not at the same age or same condition, so we have to take a little by little. Sometimes we just want to kind of go run. No, we can run. We just have to do slowly.
Right. How about you, Jimmy? How do you manage your symptoms?
Well, my therapy is Copaxone, so what I do is just take that. That's helping keeping my MS at bay. And I do a lot of things like relaxing in the morning, early morning, studying my word, help me relax, get ready for the day. And I have a treadmill, a recumbent bike, and things of that sort. And the hot showers help with the muscles and the shoulders when they get tensed up. And I have a teeter, helps with my back, problems with my back. So it's been great.
Good. And Pam, how do you manage your symptoms?
Well, I take my my DMD, which I do it. Been taking it since the first day. I've started with one for 4 years, and my body rejected it. Then I was on another one for a year, and now I've been on this one for 5 years, and it's been doing wonderful. As far as taking other meds, I don't take anything other than this, and then my vitamin D. And I try to stay active. If I'm feeling like I'm getting run down, I'll rest more. But if I found that if I try to walk as much as I can, and I have my cane today, but if I know I'm walking a long distance, then I'll use my walker, but I try to stay active as much as possible.
Great. Thank you. Do you want to share anything, Stuart, about how you manage your symptoms?
I don't think about them.
Good idea.
I try never to think about my symptoms because it's like out of mind, out of sight, that type of thing. And it works better for me that way. So yeah, I feel pain, and then I remember to think about everything else so that way I don't feel the pain, because that's my primary symptom. As far as somebody taking a hot shower, I do know that if I take a hot shower, it does feel awesome at first. But then I can actually feel myself slithering away because the heat just annihilates me. And I find that I just have to turn on a little bit of cold water, and it just zaps my body back to shape, and then, maybe let the heat sink in again for a little while, and then actually have to put on hot water before I leave the shower. So that's my thing.
What about heat sensitivity being in Florida?
So heat sensitivity in Florida, God made air conditioning. Mm-hmm. That was the best thing about living in Florida and having air conditioning. Mm-hmm. All right, so heat sensitivity. When I am outside and I'm out there for more than 30 minutes in 90-degree heat, I lose the vision in my left eye. And then I have to go inside and be in cool air for a good hour and a half to 2 hours before my vision returns to normal, or the normal that I have at my age.
Talking about heat, I love gardening. It's another thing I learned to, I love it, now that I have the time. But then I learned to get a towel or one of those, I don't know how they call it, scarf that you wet. Yes, and you wet it, and sometimes I even put it in the freezer. And my husband created for me a little cart. I put an umbrella, I have my hat, and now we have a little above ground pool. I remember one time getting to that pool 5 times, because when I felt like, okay, I am hot, so to that pool, wet and everything, I kept working, go to the pool again. So, you just have to be creative and learn to manage it. And like he said, air conditioning. And I always carry a fan. Even in church, the people know me already because everybody's with sweaters. I am with my fan, they know me for my fan.
Anybody else have heat sensitivity?
I know one good thing that with the cooling vest has been awesome. If you have to go outside, especially if I go anytime at 11 o'clock during the day, if I have to go outside anywhere, I'm going to have my cooling vest on because I know that the heat of the day around 12 is too hot to be out. Jimmy, can you speak louder? I use my cooling vest if I go out after 11 o'clock during the daytime because I know at 12 o'clock the sun is straight up in the air and the heat is coming down real hard. So I have to do that because I get really fatigued with the heat.
Great, thanks. Anybody else want to share anything about that?
I do want to say that with the showers, part of what it does for me is to relax my muscles so much. But since I'm taking the showers at 12 or 3 in the morning, it's perfect because then I go back into bed and I fall asleep. So I kind of debate for a few seconds, like, should I get up and take a shower? Is it going to wake me up? But in the end, I know it's just going to relax me enough to fall asleep instead of just laying there in pain.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have any tips for anybody? Anybody have any special tips for people about controlling their symptoms?
Oh, controlling your symptoms. If I get overheated, I know to take, stay inside the house or anything. But I know, like, if I'm taking out my garbage, I wait till almost midnight to take it out because during the daytime carrying garbage out, it's too hot. And then I start feeling sick. So I wait till nighttime to do things when it's cooler.
Tips is a little different for each one of us. Like I said before, you have to start recognizing what triggers what, and then you have to work with it. So you have, like I said before, you have to be creative, and then whatever makes you feel better, what make you maybe be more functional, that's what you have to work with. And we are proud. And at the beginning of this disease, it's very hard to recognize that we cannot do what we used to do before. So we have to learn to ask for help. That is a problem at the beginning, and sometimes even later. In my group, I saw a few people that they were very stubborn, asking for help. But it's always people that is willing to help, and it's not like they feel pity, because if you have good friend, good family, they love you. They will do it. It's just a matter of asking.
Right. Okay, let's. Okay, Stuart, would you like to share any tips?
Yes.
Please.
Well, I want to feed off of what Naida said. Yes, people need to recognize what affects them, and I know that I've had to recognize that as well. So like I was saying, if I'm out in the heat too long, I know what's going to happen to my eye. So I know that to watch the clock and just be out there for 15 minutes instead of 30 minutes. I also know that fatigue hits me at, generally between 1 and 2 o'clock every single day. So what does that mean? That means that when I know that I'm really being functional during the course of the day, and then I'm working from a very early portion of the day, maybe it'll affect me a little bit earlier than 1 or 2 o'clock, all right? And so I have to back off a little bit, take a break, and make sure that that's not going to affect me the way that it can affect me. And there's just other things during the course of the day that you're going to start feeling something, and you don't want it to happen, so just change up what you're doing.
Do you give yourself permission to do that?
No.
Do any of us give ourselves permission to take a break when we need it? Or do we beat up on ourselves like, I shouldn't do this?
If I have a chance, I will take a nap, and I love it. And I allow myself to do that because that's part of why I don't work at this point. Doctor's orders is to take care of myself. And I feel that taking a nap or taking a little break lets me do just that.
How about you, Jimmy? You want to say something?
I know with me, I take mini naps throughout the day because I know when I start feeling like that, I just signal to my wife, says it's time for that nap, to take a mini nap.
And do you feel badly about that you do that, or you?
No, she
you're okay
understands. That I have to take the mini naps, and then I get energized after that. 30 minutes to an hour.
I have a hard time taking naps. In fact, I have a hard time sleeping, period. So for some reason, I just can't take naps during the day. But I know if I start feeling bad, I know to sit down and relax, cool off and everything, even if I don't fall asleep, just to kind of unwind and get away from everything. Turn off the TV because there's so much on right now. Just trying to relax, In
my case, sometimes I do, others I don't. With my mom being with dementia, it's hard for me to kind of sit down and quiet out because she still don't understand. And I know it is part of the process. But sometimes when I said, okay, this is it. I'm sitting now, and my husband knows and my kids know, so I take. But sometimes I just keep going, so it's so and so.
I have questions for all of you that have little kids running around. Even if you're that tired, and you know that you need a break, what do you do to give yourself a little bit more oomph to take care of what needs to be done?
Well, it has to be done. If it is to be, it's up to me, so I get up and do it. And don't worry about the nap right then. But once everything is complete, I just kind of curl back and take my nap.
I have two grandkids that I pick up at school, and one of them is homeschooling, and they know that I cannot run with them, but they know that I can do stuff with them. But at the same time, they are at an age. They are 11 and 13, so right now they are at an age that they can understand. Can do that. I will have to get a break, or they help me. But you sometimes keep going. Kids sometimes they can't stop. But if I think I can do it, I keep going. But when I'm tired, I just, I stop.
That's it, you're done. Okay. We were all talking around COVID-19 and how it's affecting us. Can you describe, Pam, let's start with you, how you personally are coping with this pandemic?
Well, at the beginning, I did go anywhere. Since like March 15th, it took me a long time to even go out. As Stu knows, I was afraid to do everything. The only thing I went out for was for my infusion. But I do a lot of things at home. Like I said, I do a lot of concerts and things like that virtually, a lot of Zoom meetings. They keep you active. I also do a lot of needlepoint to keep my hands active, my eyesight active. I did have a puppy, but unfortunately he passed away, so that was kept me active all the time. But I talk to friends on the phone and just try to do whatever I can.
Great. How about you, Yiki? Anything you're doing particularly now during the COVID-19?
Actually, I was telling Stuart that I almost feel guilty the fact that I feel I'm living my best life lately. I have been traveling a lot because there are so many things that you can't do locally. I've been to 4 national parks in the last few months, and I've gone to a few different states, and I have been taking COVID tests when I return just to make sure that I'm not getting anybody sick, because I've been in airports and flying. But other than that, since my granddaughter has moved in, I stay busy with her. I visit my parents quite often. They live in Miami. They're getting older. And
Are you not concerned about getting them sick or exposing
I am,
them?
which is why I have done several COVID tests. I also try to practice social distancing. I wear my mask. I clean my hands. I try to do all the correct protocol things that we can do to stay safe. So hopefully, I really am not living in fear of living in a bubble. I know I should maybe, but I think I'm being very careful. So I think the depression that would come along with being totally isolated would be worse than getting sick. And I have 2 kids who have gotten COVID, but they have bounced back. They're also younger. So,
Oh, that's great to hear that they bounced back. That's great.
yeah.
And Jimmy, how about you? Has COVID affected your life?
Yes, we're doing a lot of homeschooling, and that's been keeping us very busy. I know we do things like the drive-through safari in Kissimmee was awesome, and it's time to get out, social distancing because you're in your vehicle. It's been great. Different things like that, drive-through activities like that, and it's keeping us busy.
In my case, like I mentioned before, with this all started, I guess the making the mask kept me busy for a lot of month. And it is funny because I knew to saw the basics, but then these days everything is in YouTube, so I learned how to make them, and I'm very conscious too about when I going out. I have my mask. I carry my keys, hand sanitizers. I even made it myself. I found alcohol 91%, olive, and all that stuff. My hard time was when my father passed. I wasn't able to go to Puerto Rico. Um, Not because of traveling, it because my sister, my mother, and my father had COVID. So I was going to a infested place, if you want to put it that way. And every single doctor I asked, any specialized doctor, you're not going to Puerto Rico. So I was blessed that my daughters were able to go to Puerto Rico and help my parents. And when he passed, they were there. Um, we were. I understood also that it was God's will for my daughters to be there, not me, because a lot of things changed for them and for my mother. So it was meant for them to be there, not me. It was very hard, but besides that, I just go as everybody to the supermarket. I'm conscious with my mask, hand sanitizer, washing my hands, and trying to do the best of this. I know it's very hard for some people, but it's always a way to do something different. They found that the families kind of united a little more with all this. So, it's always a reason for everything. We just have to do the best we can.
Pam, did you want to say anything?
No.
Stuart, how about you? Has COVID changed your life?
Yeah.
For the better or the worse? And how?
So, how has COVID changed my life? Well, again, doing the amount of educational programs that we've done on the road each year for the last 5, where we're doing 50 plus programs, and now turning it all virtual. I mean, that's how it changed for me. So instead of me flying back and forth across the United States, I drive from South Florida up to here. We're in Longwood, Florida, and it's a 4-hour ride, but it's a lot safer than having to stop in Atlanta and change planes all the time. All right, but what has it done? So realistically, for what we do with MS Views and News and how that affects me as well, because I'm part of the dynamics of the organization, is that where we were doing programs for 30 and 40 people, we're now doing programs for up to 200 people, okay? Because virtually it's made it that much more, that many more people could be online watching these things. Plus the fact that it then goes onto our YouTube channel, and like Naida may learn how to do sewing on YouTube and learn how to make face masks, we've actually taught people how they can be educated, learning from the programs that we provide and that some of our other member organizations that we work with or that work with us, that we partner with, and what they're providing out there as well. So that's something that, how is it better for me? Yeah, I just feel more in touch with that many more people on a regular basis. And by the way, the mask that I'm wearing, this young lady made for me, all right? And I love her masks. They're so comfortable. So if you're watching this, you need to contact her and say, start making them away for her. Yeah. All right? One more thing. I just want to say, we didn't get to say it at the beginning, but we're all wearing face masks here because that is what needs to be done these days. I mean, we're just trying to stay safe doing this event.
Absolutely correct. Pam, what did you want to add?
Well, I just want to say, you think you go to all these different meetings that you think you know everything, but because during these virtual meetings now, every single time I'm watching Stu's meetings, I'm learning something different because it's different doctors from all over the country. So every single time you're learning something that, I didn't know about this, and it's really great that you could see all the different doctors and nurses and everything all over. So it's been great. And also with all this, I've also learned with COVID what stores that open up early. Like some of them open up 7 o'clock in the morning for people like us. So, you don't have to be with the crowds and all that. So
Right. That's a good point.
I just want to add, I usually am dressed nicely when I come to any event, but today I felt like I will have to wear this shirt because with this pandemic, it is kind of, I have to read it because I can't read my own, but it says, the devil whispered in my ear, you are not strong enough to withstand the storm today. I whisper back, I am the storm. So that's what we have to do. We have to battle this the best and as much as we can.
Absolutely correct. Has anybody experienced where a friend or a colleague has shared something that you found valuable to incorporate into your own life in terms of COVID or just in terms of managing your health?
I have a friend that I mentioned before. She called me. We spent maybe an hour and a half on the phone. And she told me that her husband told her to pick a day, and that day call a friend she hasn't talked to in a long time. And then she started doing it. So every so often, I mean, unfortunately, she's in a wheelchair, and she sometimes get to a point that she's bedridden. So she get her cell, and she calls her friends, and it was great. We update about the grandkids, the husbands, the houses, we move, and it was great. It was a very good idea that, sometimes friends don't call you, but you can call them. It's just like a two-way road, if you want to put it that way. So, hey, they may be very happy to hear from you, the same to hear from them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I found myself reaching out to people I haven't spoken to in years just to say, hi, how are you? Are you okay? Are you managing this situation? So
Exactly.
that's a great thing to do.
Exactly. I mean, I have friends in New York still, and wow, I actually even have friends. Okay, so I have found that the people that I've spoken with maybe once a year, we're talking that much more these days because you just want to make sure that they are surviving coronavirus, and you want to make sure that their family's surviving coronavirus. But it's not just calling them. We could video chat with so many people, all right? I mean, certain phones, you can video chat with each other based on the same type of phone, all right? But others can't. But you still, because maybe you're speaking from an iPhone to a Samsung, but you can use you could use a Zoom call or one of the other calls, or WhatsApp, exactly. WhatsApp, and you can make your video calls and you be that much more connected. I mean, it could be just a neighbor that is older than you, all right, and you don't want to be, or that person is just fearful of even being within 10 feet of you. Well, you could video call each other, and you could do that outside from 25 feet away from each other. You could see each other for real, you could see each other through the phone, and you can just create dialogue.
Well, it's like I have a cousin in Kentucky, and he calls me every single day, him and his family, to make sure I'm okay because he knows I'm by myself. And I mean, to me, that's like gold to hear him. Right now they're in California. They call me as soon as they arrive there to let me know they're okay. But every single day, I know around 5:30 on his way home, he calls me every single day.
You should be calling them to make sure they're okay if they're traveling.
I did. Well, there's a 3-hour difference, so I didn't know what time to call them.
Yeah. How about you guys?
I find myself traveling to see my parents more often because they are a bit older. I don't want them going out as much, and they're a little bit become more of a shut-in lifestyle than they would like to. So I go visit them. At the very beginning, I was doing Instacart for them because my dad would insist on having to go out because he was out of bread. I'm like, oh, this is not going to work good. Because it's hard to tell a man who's 83 that he needs to make certain changes in his life. So I do go spend time with them, and we just do things inside the house. So even though I've been doing things, I'm around more people at home than when I go other places. I was just in California, so I'm thinking your cousin is not seeing anybody because California is shut down. There is nothing to do, no one to see. So most of what I've been doing is in private with family or with friends in a very small group. So just making the most of it, though. But it's tough for people who really shouldn't be going out. I know that we should not either, but sometimes I help them by going to them.
Sorry to cut you all off for a second, but my dad's close in age to your father, and I do understand about how they don't want to make changes. And I go to my parents' house, and I'll go in wearing a mask, and they know that I'm safe as I can be. And, we just keep our distance, even with a mask on. I make sure that they wear a mask, and they're not used to doing that when they're in their own home and they have to wear a mask to even see me, because the few people that do come in to see them, therapists and otherwise, that I want to make sure that I'm protected from them as well.
Has anybody experienced any depression since all of this coronavirus has been happening?
I was real depressed after my dog died, because that was like, my only thing that I had living with me. So it took me a while, to get over that. And now after it started at the beginning of August, and now I'm actually looking to see about getting another dog. I couldn't do it right away, but to have something in there that, you could even talk to, I know it sounds crazy, but yeah, it was nice.
Not crazy.
Anybody else ever feeling depressed over the situation?
In my case, it wasn't maybe depressed. I will say sad, because like I mentioned before, it was very difficult not be able to be with my parents in Puerto Rico. And, but I don't know what to say. I will say faith and hope and God helped me to go through. So we cannot lose hope. As Stuart mentioned before, churches are open again with certain distance, and the church I visit open, so at least I can go and then pray and call friends, that help. But it was kind of hard, very hard, after that situation. But again, you have to kind of get out of there, and life goes on, and just keep going.
Right, great. Anybody else?
As for me, what has made me the saddest is what she was just talking about, is the fact that church just seems so different. At first I would watch it on TV, and it's not the same. I'm Catholic, and I do go to Mass so I can receive the Eucharist. That's why I go to Mass. That's the biggest reason I go to Mass. And so that kind of seems like there was a void when I would watch it on TV. But even now, just the fact that the pews are so empty, it does not seem like the same congregation, and I miss other parishioners. I miss the fellowship that you have a little bit in between. So yeah, I'm ready for that part of my life to go back to normal. I think that's what makes me the most depressed.
I really miss that part about being in church, because I'm a hands-on person. I like talking to people and doing the Zoom and everything and watching it on Facebook is great. But to be back in the presence of everyone, I really miss that. So I'll be definitely glad when that's done.
Yeah, I think we're ready to get back to.
Oh, yes.
Right. So many people are ready to get back to some kind of normalcy, but this is why we wanted to even try what we're doing here today, is to get people to be talking with each other, let everybody else see what's happening out there as well. But yeah, I remember hearing from people telling me about the church experience where you put out your arms and everybody until, I don't know what it's called, but that you have this togetherness thing going on. And if you're able to do that, even from a distance, without actually touching, without actually getting within 6 feet, but if you could come up with your own type of programs, you don't have to wait for an organization to turn around and say, hey, you're allowed to have these support group meetings again. You don't have to wait for that. You just make it happen. Build things, build it for them, and they will come. All right? And that's, something that I will always strive to do, because I cannot be locked down. You cannot put me in a box and just tell me to stay there. I had to break out. I had to come out and do these things with Bill, to do these things as much as we can for others to be able to learn from. And I'm going to keep on doing this. And that makes me a happy person.
I'm Jewish, and every Friday my temple delivers matzo ball soup and challah to everybody. It's called Chicken Soup for the Soul for everybody with COVID right now. And it's like, it sounds crazy, but even if I don't answer my phone, there's a bag right there my door, there's a bag right there with the chicken soup and everything. So it's really nice, makes you know that somebody's thinking about you.
But do they bring you gefilte fish?
I don't want gefilte fish. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments to make about anything we've talked about or anything we haven't talked about?
That's when you wanted to make your comment.
Oh, I came up with something here, sorry. Right before COVID started, I went to get my driver's license, and I walked in with my walker.
Wait, you didn't have one before that?
To renew
The
it.
renewal. So I walked in with my walker, and right away they saw my walker, and they said, well, you can't get one. You have to get a doctor's note that you have to fill it out, and they send it up to the state. Well, when they got the letter back from the state, they were shut down because of COVID. So I finally went back a couple of weeks ago to get my driver's license, and dummy me flunked it the first time because I didn't know that when you do a 3-point turn, you're supposed to turn on your left turn signal, which a lot of people didn't know that. And I mean, the guys there that were testing me, you know, I had to come back the next day. They said, next time you come, don't ever bring your walker. If you go off with the cane, do that. And because they said they're having a lot of people with using walkers that they're telling them that they have to go through all this. So it was like, it was a big learning thing. And I never realized, you know, I got my driver's license, 40 years ago, and things have changed quite a bit.
You? You have anything you want to input into all this?
Okay, so I was just going to say you had asked us this earlier, but I didn't touch on this, is that I think every day it's really important to accomplish something, because if not, being at home all day, if you're not working, it makes it very easy for all the hours to slip by. And at the end of the day, you go, what did I do today? And so for me, this is my tip, is to do something. Even if it's just to organize a drawer that I've already organized 10 times during COVID, but just to go through and just figure out what I can do in my house or outside, pick some weeds, just even if it's for a little while, just so I don't feel like I go to bed and go, okay, well, did nothing today. Yeah, well,
Wait, I
That-
have a lot of weeds at my house if you want to come pick them.
I can do that, but you're not right around the corner.
Truly.
But I have time, so maybe I'll drive.
What I try to do is stay busy. I make a list the night before and try to get some of that done on the list. And most of the time, I only get like 2 things done on my list. So, you know, just keep going on that list and keep going until I get it done.
Before COVID started, I was working with this program called RAISE, and what it was is we work with young adults that have either autism or Asperger's or Down syndrome, and what we would do was help trying to coach them into getting jobs. Well, since COVID started, we couldn't do that. So 2 weeks ago, we just started that we're doing it virtual, and I just got my young man here, and he's 6'8". And his father's been telling me that this young man won't even talk to anybody, look at anybody, and since we've been doing everything virtual, he looks at me right now, smiles, he's talking and everything else. So it makes me feel good, and I feel like I'm doing something again like I used to do. So I'm learning ways to like bring life back in.
All right. So I'm going to say that I think that that everybody in the world needs to start working on a way to find how to communicate with people better. Okay. And if it means that, you know, you want to get together with some family, well, you can do it safely at a distance. All right. And, you know, certain people live in certain environments in the United States that, depending on the weather, well, you may want to just find a way that you have a medium warm day or a medium cool day, depending on where you live, that you can make it so that way you can meet outside. Go to a basketball court somewhere outdoors, go to a park, like some people here were saying earlier. And you can at least set up your chairs far enough away from each other, but you can create dialogue and you can feel like you're part of something again. And it's not just family related. It's, you know, for anybody who's involved with any type of an organization. It doesn't have to be an MS organization. It could be what Pam's doing, okay? That's great work that you're doing, by the way, that volunteer work. But if you can make it so that way, you could get together with some of the others even that were working on it with you or that you were working with, and you could get together from a distance and meet with them and just collaborate on what you could do for that community going forward. Okay, how do you get a person that's autistic or with Down syndrome or with one of the other syndromes that you talked about, how can they feel alive again? How do you get them involved so that way they don't feel like they're sitting in an eggshell the rest of their lives? And it could be. We don't know how long this is going to last, right? I mean, you with the church, how are you going to get people to get involved again? Yeah, so you can't get within arm's length of each other, but you could still create some kind of atmosphere where you are outside in an atrium area and get people together and do your hallelujahs from there, you know? And then, you know, again, it's just getting people together and making them all feel alive and worthwhile, and that your lives are not over with just because this COVID-19 has come along. We've all learned how to eat differently. A lot of us have learned how to eat better. We've had to make adjustments over the many months already, and I think that we've pretty much handled with, you know, what to do and stay apart from each other. Now we just got to straighten out our government, right?
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that one.
Right. But that's all I have to say about it. I could say a lot more, but I am not going to.
Jill, can I ask you, what do you feel about everything? What are you doing for like COVID and all this?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have to touch my camera. What am I doing? I was very much isolating myself until I don't know if I can really say that. Yeah, I guess I was. I was pretty much isolating myself. I haven't really seen person to person any of my friends. We've talked a lot on the phone. We've talked virtually. But I don't go out to restaurants, which I used to do all the time. I will go eat outside at a restaurant, but I will not go inside a restaurant. So I pretty much will do some. Well, I will travel, but only if I know it's safe with somebody. So I don't do a lot of that. But it certainly takes a toll, I think, on all of us. We're typically very social beings, and this has put a crimp in our styles. And not knowing when it's going to end, I think, has made it even more challenging, particularly for older people who don't know if they're ever going to be able to go out and do things again, or if they're going to. This is where they're going to be, and this is how they're going to pass on. So I think that's the unknown part about it is a little bit scary for a lot of people.
You know, I don't know. Well, so for me, like I'm up here, I see Bill, all right, and we get together and we go to outdoor restaurants, or even, you know, like when I'm in my own environment, I won't eat in an indoor restaurant, all right? There's too much contagions in the air of anything. It's not just COVID, it's like everything that's trapped in there, all right? So, but if you find outdoor places to go to, there's, just make sure that you're upwind and not downwind, okay?
I just want to add about the restaurants. I've been in few, you know, but I feel comfortable because, like I said before, I have my hand sanitizer. Sometimes I have my Clorox wipey, so I clean the table myself, and I enjoy a meal. And the restaurants are conscious of have the distance, so it's something different once in a while to kind of do that. And like, yeah, she said, this is a very, very serious illness and condition, but we have to learn to be less afraid, to move a little more, you know, to be conscious. You have to keep being conscious with your mask and your hands, but let's try to live a little more, you know, with all the precautions, you know, we can do. Again, I'm repeating, like my t-shirt, we are the storm. We cannot let this be the storm for our life. So we have to, as we manage so many hurricanes here in Florida, we have to plan the same with this.
Can I just ask, with the COVID, how many of y'all are getting flu shots with okay.
I haven't had it yet.
I always have one.
I've
Never
had
had
one.
one.
Never had one?
Never have had one.
I get it every year.
So do I. So I was just curious if y'all are getting them too, especially with the COVID. They're saying that you should get a flu shot. So I didn't know if y'all with the MS are getting them or not.
I've never gotten shingles shot either.
Well, we're not supposed to because that's a live vaccine.
No,
No,
that's
it
a dead-
isn't.
you can
It's
get
a
the
dead
dead version.
vaccine now.
They do have one dead?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep, they do.
You never had flu shot? No. You neither?
No, never.
Yep.
Never.
Nor will I get one when they have the COVID shot.
Why is that?
For one, I don't want to be a guinea pig in the first round.
Oh, you mean, okay, I know the COVID, yeah.
And because I don't get it, the regular flu shot I don't want to get a COVID one.
I don't think they know yet whether the COVID vaccine will be live or dead. So that is another little twist to it. And yeah, I agree. I don't want to be the first one online.
I don't want to be the first one in line, and I also feel like when it's my time, my creator will just snag me, and that's okay. I'm not to sound all holy roller, but I'm okay with death one day. I'm at peace.
Okay, well, thank you so much, all of you, for being here and sharing.
Thank you for the invitation. This
Thank
is
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Sharing
Thank you.
with other people and other friends.
Thank you. Well, we're going to let people see it, so. All right. Thank you for coming.